All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have Casi DeSarro here with me on the show. Cassie is an intuitive guide, teacher that helps others connect with their higher self and unlock inner wisdom. Surprise, surprise, she's a fit to be on the show today. Hey there, Cassie. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I love how we are connecting today and how this worked out.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been doing this so long, 10 years now. And I've had, everyone on the show that, from really well known, huge name people in the spiritual community and authors and scientists and teachers. And lately, in the last 6 months or so, I've been doing a lot less interviews and more solo episodes and things. But then people that I've come across online who I just connected with or had some synchronicity with, it's like it's a different way. I'm always looking for new ways to freshen it up. And that happened with me and you. I happened to follow your page, and then yesterday you like started speaking about some literally what was in front of me at the time and multiple level synchronicity. I'm like, okay, we had talked about you coming on in the past, and I'm like, now is the time. And we did it very short notice. So thank you for being so adventurous and flexible to jump into my world today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I have a lot of Sagittarius in me, so I love
Ah,
the adventure.
I love that. I'm a Sag moon.
Oh, me too. Yeah, Sag Moon,
Oh,
Sag Rising. Yeah.
oh wow. So I'm Leo Sun, Scorpio
Okay.
rising, Sag moon.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
love it.
a little mix there. I love Sag. Sag is also my north node.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
So
I
so
love the Sag energy. It is my
me
fave.
too. I'm really like I couldn't pick a north node I'd rather have, you know?
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, it feels good. And for those of you who don't know, north node is supposedly the direction that you're going, that you're what you're like sort of stepping into more energy of in the future of this life and even like supposedly next life, right? Cassie, do you
Yes.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because I'm an Aquarius sun, and that's my North Node as well.
Oh, wow. So you're like, I'm staying here for a while.
Yeah.
Basically. Got it. Got it. Very
Woo!
cool. Yeah, cool. Well, Aquarius makes sense for you too. Um, well, I have digressed off my normal, very cliche opening question path, and let's get back to that
Okay.
before everything falls apart here. Okay, here it is. You're in an elevator. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You got 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
Oh, I would say, all right. Let me see here. My passion is to help empower the people and to help people see themselves as powerful beings and to break free of any perceived limitations
Hmm.
and just touch people's lives
Hmm.
in a
Yeah.
way that leaves a ripple effect
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I always say my aim is to achieve the greatest ROI, ripple of
Mhm.
impact,
Ooh, I
as
love that.
opposed to return on investment. But yeah, it is. It's so true. It's like we're our only real obstacle, right? And
Mhm.
so the more you realize that, the more you can, um, yeah, just achieve and step into your highest timeline. I'm sure you'd
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely. And being self-aware is such a gift, but also I know a lot of your listeners are probably in that on that path of sometimes it can feel a little tough when we're so self-aware.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's kind of like what we do with that.
Well, as an intuitive, as someone, I mean, we're all intuitive to varying degrees, I would say, but someone who's really tapping into their intuition is a big part of your life path and your offering, service offering to the world. I'm sure you'd agree, it's sort of that sensitivity can be a double edged sword, right? Because you feel so deeply. And it's like the higher the branches, the deeper the roots. And so it can, I think it comes with the territory a little bit of like, okay, I'm really sensitive, I'm really intuitive, and then you know, it's like the breadth of feeling potential can swing both directions.
Absolutely. And that's why a lot of people that are very intuitive end up at first going down a really dark path of addiction and alcoholism and all of these things, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But then when you learn discernment and how a lot of our thoughts, 97% of our thoughts are not even our own, and just allowing yourself to actually use your intuition to be like, wait a minute, that's not mine, that's not mine, that's not mine, and having that discernment, that's such a game changer.
Yeah. Wow. Did you say 97%?
Hmm.
Wow. I have not heard that. Uh,
Fun times. Yeah.
yeah.
Earth School.
Wow.
We love this.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I think intuition is the highest form of intelligence as well, because you're using data points from beyond your, you know, your, um, biological brain computer that,
Mhm.
are giving you information that and providing insights and information that are nonlinear and you couldn't really calculate. So it's like accessing the supercomputer in the ethers in a sense, right?
Yeah, it is. It's such a trip and so cool. And I always trip on the fact that we actually have more unseen than seen. So the unseen is more real than the seen. But a lot of people, as you know, we're humans, we have eyes and we can only see a small fraction of what is there. It's
Yeah.
just so interesting. And I just love thinking about this, how there's more that exists that we cannot see than what we can see. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Right.
mind
Right.
blown.
Yeah. And we know that from a very, yeah. I mean, it's like science is showing us that, it's not just like some woo woo spiritual ethereal concept. This is like a very, scientific based that, we're only perceiving this small fraction of reality and what's actually all around us.
Exactly. And I think that's so exciting for what's coming. Age of Aquarius, people are awakening to just the truth of who they are, of reality, and all of these things. And so the fact that science now can really back a lot of these ideas that were once considered, oh my God, you're just a little woo woo crazy. Now it really is scientific. And
Yeah. Right.
it's so exciting. Like, what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Agreed fully.
Yeah.
Well, if you would share, yeah, I always like to get for my guests, like just whatever feels relevant to share from your backstory to give us a little insight into who you are and how you got here.
Sure. Oh, what a journey. So
Mm,
I basically had, I don't know why I'm being called to like talk about my first spiritual awakening, because that happened when I was around 29-ish,
hmm
around my Saturn return.
hmm
Surprise, surprise. And I
hmm
ended up moving to Florida. I've moved kind of all over the place. I lived in New Hampshire for a long time, Florida, New York. I'm originally from New York. I'm living in Sedona now.
mm,
But when I moved to Florida, we all know it's the sunshiny state. And so I remember the first day that I moved there, it was literally the most perfect weather that you could ever paint a picture. Like, if you were to ask me, what would be the perfect day? It would be that day that I woke up in Florida. But I
mm.
felt this heaviness, and it felt like, oh no, like, there's something not adding up here.
Oh man,
And the
that
quote,
didn't feel good on day
no, it
one.
did not feel good. When it's like raining and you feel sad, it's like, yeah, that's okay. All right. That's all right. You can almost blame the weather of like, oh, it's a sad day. But when everything around you seems perfect, but your insides are feeling so distressed, so like something is not right here, it led me to probably the deepest depression that I've ever had.
Wow.
And I started to just get curious about why my brain was doing this. So I
Yeah.
went to the scientific, like, psychological, textbooks, looking up like how the human brain works, and like what is this about myself? And I'm so like proud of myself, because it was such a dark time, but it felt like I had angels around me constantly. I would journal really dark things, but then really light things would come out. It was
Mm,
really beautiful how I had such a pure light coming through in the dark that really kept
Mm-hmm.
me going. And at the time I found podcasts, and I started to open my eyes to like the spiritual community online and just learning from different people, which really got me curious about my own path. And immediately as I got out of that deep darkness, I started to coach people. Like I just started to help people for free because I just had that deep yearning of like, I don't want anyone, I'm getting the chills. I don't want anyone to go through or to have, like, I wanted to be there for someone who couldn't afford a therapist. Cause at the time I could not afford a therapist. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't have money
Right.
to like pay for my mental health right now.
Right.
So I found it like I did a lot of digging and research and things for myself. And then on the other side of that, I just was like, I'm going in, like I'm helping people. And I started with more of the physical of like, if you don't love your body, this is how to love your body dysmorphia. And I was a health coach for a while. And so I started in that realm. But then
Mm-hmm.
as I was a health coach, it started to feel a little empty of like, I'm kind of sick of telling people to eat like more apples and,
Yeah. Right.
you know,
All right.
what kind
An
of nut
apple a
butter are
day keeps the doctor away.
you? I'm like, but you can add carrots today. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Right. Right.
and that was helpful and it was great. And it's good to have respect for the body and to understand that. And that really helped my awakening as well, was the food industry. I'm like, oh my God, the big food, right? Like that was a big
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And then, um, I started to juice, and that's when I started to feel this deep connection
Mm.
to God, to source, to my guides, to my higher self, to like more of the unseen, that it felt more and more real the more like cleaner my diet got. So it was really interesting how that started my path. And then my coaching ended up turning into more of spiritual guidance. And, I did a lot of work with, not directly with Byron Katie, but, Loving What Is, that book. And I had a coach
Mm-hmm.
who helped me with that. And like, I'm taking all of these concepts and bringing it into my mentorship. And it's really interesting because I was never expecting to be a tarot reader ever,
Mm-hmm.
ever. And it
Mm.
just happened. It just happened. Ooh, it's so exciting because like I hear those stories from like actresses and actors and these like musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know, it just happened one day. I was in a movie suddenly, and that's how it felt with tarot. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Wow. And so now you're doing tarot, whatever, potato,
Ooh, I like
on
that.
uh, regularly, like collective readings online and stuff, right?
Yes, and that's where I've gotten more of my following and my clients is through the collective readings that I post on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
just so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. And how long
Mhm.
have you been doing that?
About 2 years ish. It feels like
Okay.
I just started, but at the same time, I feel like I've been doing this for lifetimes.
Yeah.
So,
Right. 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 Yeah. And I think that's sort of the case with a lot of people who are really bringing through spiritual wisdom, and it's like this is like a pickup from where you left off kind of thing, I think, for you know you know almost everyone, that it feels that way, or it seems that way with people that are you know yeah, just being a voice to help shift the collective.
yeah, exactly. And that's why going back to like that deep, dark depression in Florida, it was because I was not actually slowing down enough to ask my own self, my own like truth and essence of like what it wants to bring into the world. I was just kind of floating through
Mm-hmm.
and doing what I
Mm-hmm.
think I should do and the people pleasing thing and all of those things. So now to really be connected with my mission and my purpose, it feels the life force energy is such a difference. It's amazing.
Yeah, and what I love about having someone like you on the show is like, we've been here doing this for 10 years. You could have been listening to this years ago and been like, oh my gosh, these, Byron Katie type, I haven't had her per se on. I'd like to, but Marianne Williamson and people like that, where it's like, I'm so like, it's so easy for us as humans to stack rank people and be like, oh, they're here and I'm there. And it's like, no, it's
Right.
within us all. I mean,
Mhm.
you've had this incredible journey of like, as you woke up, what I'm sensing is you then turned around instantly and are now reflecting back to the collective in a way that is supporting those right there around you, and maybe some that are just coming up behind you, or others that have been at it for a very long time, where I get something out of your readings, which is why we're here. I've had so many several times cool synchronicities where I'm like, okay, this person and I are definitely connected energetically, because there's no way she's talking about what I'm looking at in front of me in this moment. And so it's I think it's a great example. You're a great example of someone that, like, it's once you open up, it's like you said, you didn't plan on doing tarot, and you just all of a sudden, like, as your own opening and connection to source, strengthened, it was just like, oh, you just following the breadcrumbs. And I think we all have that ability to, whatever it is, whatever your path is, you are, there's no one, there is room for you. There is no one that's going to replace you or could replace you, as your specific, unique vibrational offering and emanation of source, and it's just a matter of like getting aligned with that, and seeing where it takes us.
Absolutely. And I think social media can sometimes deter people depending on who they follow. My algorithm is like top notch. I love who I
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah.
I've created a beautiful algorithm, and that's such a sign of like the
Mm,
algorithm we create in life, right? But
yeah.
I know that there's when I first started to follow people who I didn't really have discernment. I was just like, I'm going to take it all in. At
Yeah.
first, it was like, oh, I'm not that. I can't channel information. And I mean, I didn't realize we all channel information every day.
Yeah.
It's just, where is it coming from, and how intentional are you with that? And so
Yeah.
that's what I love to do with my students, is empower them to be like, no, you are so intuitive, and
Yeah.
it's just important you set the intention and belief in yourself to the point where you're helping other people just by showing up as your authentic self and trusting that what's coming
Mm,
through. I mean, like the reading that resonated with you yesterday, a lot of people would maybe think about a DJ or music and just be like, oh, well, I don't know, that's kind of weird or irrelevant, so I'm not going to say that. And so, again, I tell my students, like, whatever's coming through, it's for a reason. So
yeah.
say it. And then every single one of my students say, like, oh, there was something coming through in this bird and this synchronicity. And I said it to this person that I did my first reading with, and it was perfect. That was the sign for them. And it just is something that
Hmm.
we really need to trust when it comes to not only what's coming through our mind, but also our surroundings and what's around us, and realizing that the 3D world is not working against us. It's actually a reflection of what we are holding deep within at all times.
Right, right. Yeah, and for those of you wondering, yeah, I was like literally editing a picture of a DJ. Uh, in the moment, I'm like just listening to you in the back. You came up on my feed, and I'm like listening to what you had to say, and you started saying, you instantly referenced. They're telling me, I forget exactly how you put it, but literally referencing DJing, which was completely random to everything else you were talking about, and and then you went on to talk about Santa Claus right after that. And I just had something about Christmas very much in my field. I'm like, okay, like it's time for Cassie and I to finally talk. Let's do this. But had you not said those random thing, quote unquote random things, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today. And then the people that are impacted by this conversation positively, like the ripple of impact, so it's like it's so beyond what we could ever calculate, with our brains. It's just like getting into that synchronistic flow is
Exactly.
so important in life.
Yeah, I got the chills when you were talking, because it's just like, it's so cool when we allow ourselves to be conduits and we don't judge what's coming through. I'm here, I'm like feeling into like even schizophrenia, which I know that's like maybe an extreme example, but like
Hmm.
there's just so much information that's coming through that this person doesn't know how to move through their vessel. And so
Right.
sometimes it might feel like, a lot of times on this path it might feel very crazy, but it's information that's coming through because of this path that you have decided to walk upon, whether it was this lifetime or previous lifetimes or before you came into this physical body. And when we can again like release that judgment of whatever it is that's coming through, and for me, in my unique essence, it's sharing it online and helping other people. And sometimes I do light language, and a lot of people are like, aren't you scared to do that? I'm like, no. And it's interesting because I don't receive any weird comments. Like, I
Hmm.
don't. And it's because I'm not showing up of like, oh my God, I'm going to share this, but like, I'm kind of, I feel weird about it and I don't
Hmm.
know if I should share it. That's going to be reflected to me in the
That's right.
comments,
That's
you
right.
know, if there's
That
any inkling of that.
that's a very good point, and what a great example of something that I I mean I have never channeled any light language publicly or privately for that matter. Maybe privately, I do make weird noises sometimes, but that's a great point that you're making. Is look, here's something that would be easy to be self conscious about, and that is maybe ripe for ridicule.
Mhm.
And yet, once you realize that everything, is reflecting you back to you in some way, shape, or form. So if you're entering into it energetically with the feeling that, oh my gosh, this is ridiculable and I may be ridiculed and I'm nervous about it, and you're bringing that energy to it. Surprise, surprise, if you get that reflected back, because there is no out there. It's like literally you reflecting you back to you always in all ways. And so I think, yeah, that's a really great example. If you're like not liking some reflection that you're getting, the first thing I do at this point in my journey is like, oh, you know, how am I in alignment and emanating something that is would cause this reflection to appear in my movie, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why triggers are gifts. If we can kind of just zoom out a little bit, and it can be very emotionally charging and difficult when you do put yourself out there and you receive that type of feedback. But when you can really look at it from kind of being the scientist of your life, from a curious lens of interesting, what exactly what you said, what in me is being reflected in this person who is telling me that I'm a crazy person or whatever it is, and these triggers, I'm the same way. As I get so curious, and it's important to allow the emotions. It's important to feel what you're feeling and to let even the ego just express what it's feeling, because there's answers there in what we are feeling or thinking about what's coming at us. There's like a clue there as far as what, even subconsciously, because a lot of times we're not thinking, I'm not good enough. But if there's a program that's running deep within, then you're getting an opportunity when someone tells you, what are you doing? You don't have credentials or whatever it is, that, oh, that's something that deep down I actually believe in myself. And so, yeah, triggers are gifts. And I've been very triggered lately, not going to lie. Like,
Oh wow, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I love that you say that, because that's something else that I've always done on the show. Is like, especially early on, the show is, for many years, top three, top five in spirituality on Apple, and so many people tried to guru-ize me, and I'm like, please, like, I'm teaching best what I most need to learn, and yes, I wisdom channels through me, and I have a lot great to offer, and I'm learning as well, and we all are, and I think a lot of people out there really put on like, I've got it all figured out, my learning is over now, I'm here for you people, and that always bugs me, because I'm like, how I know you're still growing and learning? Because you're here still. I think
Yeah.
you leave the moment you have gotten
Mhm.
all the growth that you can out of this place. So yeah, and I always say, our triggers are our treasures. And so I'm curious. I mean, if you don't, no obligation to, but if you vulnerably feel like being vulnerable and sharing any of your
Yeah.
current or recent triggers.
Absolutely. Gosh, there's been so many. And you know what? I want to say too, it's a beautiful thing when there's a lot that's coming through, because it feels like this next level is here. And in order to sustain the vibration and the frequency in this next level, this lower vibrational belief stuff and thoughts that I have about myself, they can't come with me. So I
Yeah.
know this is a calling for this next level for myself. That's why I'm not like ashamed to admit, I'm not exactly like, as long as we're here on earth, we're going to be triggered if we are evolving, if we're willing to be able to look at that again with that scientific lens. But anyways, when it comes to certain things, so yeah, there's someone recently that's kind of in my field who has his own business. And I notice that he shows up to work pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, for some reason, we'll get to that, but
Hmm.
it bothered me. I'm like, wait a minute, you're struggling financially, but you're not working at a timely manner and you're not being consistent. Literally. So
Right.
thinking about all these things I'm saying, you're not being consistent. You're not working in a timely manner. You're not, respecting yourself basically in your
Right.
business.
Right.
Um, and so all of these things in particular, I'm like, okay, okay, I understand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am seeing myself in that way right now
Mm-hmm.
as I'm not working the hours I think I should.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not respecting my business, and these are not necessarily true, but it's something that I believe to be true about myself that's being revealed through my anger and like
Mm-hmm.
frustration towards this other person. It's easy to see in someone else when your emotions aren't charged as far as, his life. He's got a lot going on, and I'm not in that emotional state as far as like why he's not showing up to work late. So it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to see when you're kind of like disassociated in a
Removed.
way,
Yeah.
like what you should be doing. And
Mm.
so when you start
Right.
shitting all over other people,
Right.
that is the biggest sign. And for me, it was like, okay, wow, yeah, I definitely see myself as lacking in my business and the way I'm showing up. Masculine energy, that's been a big theme for me as well. And yeah, that's one that's like literally like yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
yeah.
one. And yeah, it's like anytime I'm triggered by someone else, I'm like, now I've trained myself to be like, oh, okay, what is
Mm,
it within me that's somehow, calling this in, reflecting this, where's the link here,
yeah,
and I find it so helpful too when you're willing to get ego out of the way. And it doesn't mean that you're that it, let's say someone's doing something that you don't like, that now you, I think sometimes people can misconstrue and think, oh, I need to like accept whatever's happening, let's say someone's doing something that I
mm,
don't like. It's like, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It's just, understanding doing your best to understand you know, the why as to it is showing up, and that you're resonant enough, because I don't think anything can show up in our life, in our movie, personal movie, if you will, unless there's some, energetic resonance there at some
exactly.
level.
And that's why the trigger is such a treasure. And I love that you say that, because if I mean that's still happening and it could happen without me being triggered by it.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm so caught up in like what someone else should be doing tells me
Yeah.
everything, because someone else is witnessing him doing the same thing and is like, "Yay, you're doing awesome."
Yeah. Right.
They're not feeling that way about themselves. So
Right. Right. Right.
it's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
Good.
so interesting.
Good point. Good point. Well, yeah. So I'm curious to get back to your own gifts and how you're interpreting and bringing through these collective messages, um, with tarot. Is that your primary mode? I mean, is it like, obviously tarot, you have the physical cards that come out and what the interpretations are of them. How much of it for you, I'm curious, is, you know, the cards themselves, and obviously they only come out if there's some energetic resonance as well, just like we're talking about. It's like clockwork, guaranteed. So that's what's cool about it, because anyone can read tarot. It's like, ask the
Right.
question, get in energetic alignment with what you want to know more about, and see what comes out. But then there's the whole, for some people that's like a prompt to open more intuitive messages and things like that. So are you having experiences in that way with like guides or, psychic phenomenon above and beyond the cards themselves?
Yes, absolutely. And I just always like to say that tarot is it's a tool. You don't need it in order to channel any kind of information. But as we're talking about, signs and symbols, this is one of my favorite types of symbols that you can prompt for yourself. And so it's definitely this co-creation where this is the physical um, tool. But I actually kind of recently took 3 weeks off of tarot because I didn't want to rely on a tool in order to feel like I can access information,
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of collective readings just without the cards, and it really helped. And I
Cool.
highly recommend, if we get, any kind of attachment to any kind of tool outside of us, it's good to take a break and to step back and to
Mm.
see how you can do without that, and to
Mm-hmm.
continue to like, I don't know, grease your channel, like grease yourself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to allow the channel to stay open and not rely on anything like that. So absolutely. And what I teach in my course that I have going on right now, Tarot Intuition Mastery, we actually don't talk about the cards first and their meanings. We talk about sign, symbol, synchronicities. We talk about how your environment is giving you signs at all times, and how there might be something that drops through, just basically intuition we talk about first. Because without having your own relationship with the signs around you, with the world around you, and in your own self and your mind and what comes through, without that, it's going to be very bland, black and white. Okay, this card means this. All right, there's a new beginning. Okay. Like, that's why you can see a lot of, I love watching other tarot readers just to see their ways, because everyone is different. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Right.
And that's really what I empower my students to do is you don't have to do this a certain way. Maybe there's something, and usually before I sit down for a reading, there's something that's coming through, and then I'm like, ooh, let's pull cards on this and see if there's more details about this. Same with oracle cards. I don't use oracle cards as
Mm.
much, but those are more of like themes, or, words or animals, to also, for me, it's a way to help connect with my audience of like, this could be a sign for you, like owls. That's coming through. Maybe that's a sign for you or a listener. Like, if I'm pulling the owl and someone's like, oh my God, that's my animal totem, it helps them connect more into, and like help them open their own channel of listening and receiving this information that I'm sharing with them as well. So yeah, it's definitely not all tarot. And it's just a really, really great tool that it's like I didn't even have to learn it, to be honest. It was like I was a natural when I picked it up, which is wild. But that's why I teach it now, because I want to teach it in a way where it's not so black and white. We go over the meanings of every single card, so you know that and you have that. But it's more of, on each card, what is this symbol on the card that's sticking out to you? For some reason, her red hair is sticking out to me. And so maybe just pointing that out, there could be someone with red hair. And it's just a really fun way to, yeah, to pick up more symbols and signs for whatever's coming through.
So it's kind of funny because my internet got really wonky there when you were doing that. And so it like got jerky. And so I'm like hearing bits and pieces of it. And then it just came out with the last thing. If there's someone with red hair, and I live with a couple people with red hair, and both my siblings have red hair. So I missed some of what was said before, but it's like I can instantly create a red hair, connection. But I think I got the gist of what you said still. And I'm going to trust. That's the great thing about what we're recording on here. Even if that ever happens, you're being recorded locally. So, everyone's going to still hear what you had to say.
Oh,
So,
perfect. I know. I love how that's so interesting. Even see exactly that, when the internet cuts out and then it comes back in, what's going on here? And a lot of times technology is as
a
we know, AI and
reflection.
everything, but yeah, it's totally, this is where spirit moves through all of it.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. It's just like reflection on reflection, and that really gets me a lot of times with synchronicities, like the multi layered synchronicities, and to the degree it can be sort of encoded is like, wow, it's, it can be so deep and multi-layered sometimes, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
I got to think for you too, anyone who out there listening as well, that's really learning to tap into your intuition, it truly is the highest form of intelligence. And when you can start playing with it and, and then you get some level of validation, it really helps to, like the DJ thing and the Santa Claus thing. I mean, for you, I'm sure that's like, okay, I pulled that out and then someone reached out and was like, oh my gosh, that was like real present in my moment. That's, it certainly helps to build your confidence with trusting it as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And I love that's one of my favorite comments is, are you watching me? Like, are
Mm-hmm.
you in my home right now watching
Yeah.
me? And I love that because I'm like, yes, like it does help the trust of what is coming through because why would I say Santa Claus out of nowhere? Why would
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
these things like my conscious mind doesn't, there's no logic behind it, but
Mm-hmm.
that deep trust, that feminine energy of that trust of whatever's flowing through, it could mean so much to another person, and
Mm.
it's so beautiful to receive the comments of, your messages have really helped me in my life and I'm just crying right now. And when people cry, I'm like, oh, I love that. Like I'm hitting a
Mm-hmm.
chord, like I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So it really goes
Totally.
to show how when we get out of our own way and just let our guides and let our higher self like move us. And like I said, I did not expect tarot. I could have been like, this doesn't make sense, why would I do this, does this help, and like overthink it. When we can just let it flow, we can literally impact way more lives. And it's just such an honor to be, talking to so many people when it comes to my collective readings. It really is such an honor. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it's, like I said, it's very important for everyone out there listening. And once again, it's all a reflection. If you're tuning into this broadcast out of the infinite things vying for your precious attention, it's because this is a part of you and this is in you. And you have the ability as well to tap in more to your own intuition. And so I think that's a really important thing to consider as you're hearing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even, and that's the thing about the algorithm and the podcast. And like, how sometimes you finish an episode and then a random podcast pops up. Maybe this is the episode for you that's happening. There's something there for you. There's always something there for you. Even if you're scrolling and then you see my reading or you see someone else speaking about triggers or discernment or whatever it is that's coming through, masculine energy. It's like, oh, okay, hold on a second. There's definitely something here for me. There's always something here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. Well, one of the things we talked about is that you would do a little mini reading for me, and I was like, no, no, I don't really like that kind of thing. But I guess just to satisfy your deep desire to give me a reading, I will go ahead and just allow you because I hate hearing about myself, but we might as
thank
well. Just
goodness.
I'm doing it for you and the people.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Yeah, I would love to. And so when I usually do a personal reading, I
Mhm.
sometimes like to ask, is there something that you would like me in particular to, an area of life or anything like this? If not, that's okay. But I always like
Mhm.
to ask
Mhm.
to see if there's anything anywhere you want me to direct kind of the questions and the information.
Mm. Two things pop up that are most interesting, I think, in my journey at the moment. One is pertaining to the synchronicity that got us here. Is like I'm working on a new music project platform, and that's just something that I did the first version of through some very intense synchronicity and spiritual breadcrumbs in 2009 actually, and I've been guided to bring it back and in guided in dramatic fashion, and I've just recently signed new partnership agreements with people to I'm started down the path of building this thing out, and so that is a very present for me, and I'll be sharing more on the podcast about that in the very near future, and I have shared in the past, but it's actually it's starting the movement is moving, and And then for me, I got out of a long-term relationship last into summer, basically, and so I'm just to the point now where like relationship and love is yeah, very present, like something that I'm really calling in, and you know, there's interest out there without going into too much detail around that,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm just curious what comes up for you
So
regarding
career and
this.
love, these are very
What a
atypical.
shot. Hey, put on your surprise face that I would be interested about those two things. I must be human.
That's so bizarre, but
It's so
okay.
bizarre. I know. I'm very original. What can I say, Cassie? I can't help myself.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, cool. So I love that I just got a new deck, a couple new decks yesterday. And
Oh,
so
nice.
they, yeah, good
Fresh.
energy. They're very fresh. And I will say, since I'll probably be showing these cards on the camera, the tarot deck that I'm using is called Galactic Star Tarot.
Oh, cool.
It's
I've never seen this one.
I haven't either until I bought it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yay. I love
Yeah.
original ones. You see a lot of the same ones for
Yeah.
collective readings, but and then I also got, and I might pull from this. We'll see how it goes. But the Star Dragon
Oh,
Oracle,
wow.
been very
Cool.
connected to dragons, so
Nice.
I like those as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and
Yeah.
open to
I'm not
this.
scared. I've shared
I'm not
everything.
scared. Okay. All right, so let's see what wants to come through here. And so, usually, just for anyone who's curious, it's really important to connect with your breath, to make sure you're connected with your feet, feeling your feet on the ground. So, this is grounded information that comes through. I always like to, and I think this would be really great for you, Brandon, to do as well, is just, and you're very connected, but intentionally like pulling light from a star above and pulling that down through your crown all the way into your body and just filling your entire body. And the listeners, it would be great for you to do this too, filling every single cell with this golden white light representing this connection to the divine. And just taking some deep breaths and then going to the center of the earth and doing the same, except pulling the energy from your feet all the way up from the earth. And it's more of a pinkish light that comes all the way up through your feet, all the way up through the body, pumping through the veins. And this just helps with that connection. And one more thing, keeping your heart open. So as you breathe, opening up your heart, and you can imagine a green ball at the center of your heart, opening and expanding wider into the size of your room, the size of your state, the size of your country, as big as you want that to go. The more open your heart, the more open your channel, the more open the connection we can have. And feeling the gratitude for receiving whatever it is you are meant to receive today. All right, let's dive in. And my intention here is to connect with your higher self. Okay, connecting with Brandon's higher self and whatever information wants to come through that is most important for you to know right now. Okay, so the moon is coming out right away. Beautiful. So on the moon card, you see there's a light and a dark wolf, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Now, in this deck, this is interesting. I'm noticing the moon almost looks like a sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a
So
unique
the moon,
moon.
it's a unique moon. Yeah, I love this deck. It's so cool. I have not seen all the cards yet, so I love
Yeah.
this. So what's coming through as far as just this card alone, and I like to pull more cards, but there's something in your subconscious. There's something, and I was really feeling the music thing, like this
Mm-hmm.
passion project and this um, new exciting opportunity that's moving through. You are being called to bring it to the light. It's something that's living deep within you that is, because especially this kind of looks like a sun. The moon is more of the dark, of the subconscious, of what's underneath the surface. The
Mm-hmm.
sun is more of that Leo energy, right? The look at me,
Mm-hmm.
the solar plexus, like really beautiful energy. And so you're being called to bring that together and allow this passion of yours and this new opportunity to come to light. So there's really nice confirmation for you there.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune and the Seven of Wands.
Hmm.
Okay. These cards are really cool. So there's those.
Cool.
So the Wheel of Fortune, I mean, it's a very fortunate card. Now the Wheel of Fortune, and I want to say too, any of these cards can be has a light side, has a dark side.
Sure.
Sometimes they come in reverse, and it's something that really you need to integrate more. These things like that. The Wheel of Fortune, lately for me, this is why it's important to be connected with your own symbols as a tarot reader, as your own channeler or whatever. This has been a karmic card for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is coming out because there's something in your karma that has been cleared and or is clearing.
Mm.
Seven of Wands is protection. It's holding boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's standing up for your own spiritual truth. So this could be relevant. Now I feel like we're kind of getting into the relationship aspect of things as well, as far as you've been through a lot of karmic relationships where your soul had to play out certain talking about triggers, certain things that were very triggering so you can understand yourself at a level where now you can you don't have to falter when it comes to a relationship to please someone else. They're more so going to meet you halfway
Mm.
is
Yeah.
what's coming through there.
I
So
like
let's see what else wants to come out here. And sometimes when it takes a while for a card to pop out, because if you're just listening, I don't know if you're just listening or watching the video, I am shuffling a lot and it just feels like, okay, that there's something about patience here. There's something about you've been waiting a long time. So everything is a
let
sign.
it pop out. Yeah. I definitely am the same way when I'm using cards myself. It's like I'm like, nope, I'm waiting till one really wants to pop out on its own.
Yeah. Okay. And there's two. Interesting. Okay. This is beautiful. So at the back of the deck, we have the Hermit.
Mm.
Such
Yeah.
a cool
I love
card.
that. Oh, that's a cool Hermit card too.
It's a really, really cool card. Yeah, because this is very galactic, this
Mm-hmm.
deck,
Mm-hmm.
as we said. So the Hermit is at the back of the deck, I noticed, but also what popped out, we have a little alien child, the sun.
Ooh.
So the sun did come out,
The sun came
and
out. Yeah.
the Ace of Cups.
Wow.
Woo!
Those are both great, right?
They're really good cards. So the sun is the happiest card in the deck.
Mm.
The Ace of Cups is a new beginning. Any aces are new beginnings. Now, this is a new beginning in love.
Mm.
And you can see there's a hand that's offering there, or
Mm.
that's receiving water, and it's
Mm.
also offering. So it's receiving water and it's
Mm-hmm.
offering a cup. So
Mm.
to me, what's coming through with this card is reciprocation in love, which is really beautiful because you've been through a lot. But with this hand coming, it seems like out of a portal.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this is going to come unexpectedly, or it's going to come in a way where you've been in a portal in the hermit mode, right? In like this own like
For sure.
yeah, yeah.
For sure. I've been
And
in
now
Hermit
you're coming out to play.
mode.
Right? This is a
Yeah.
little alien child too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is like your galactic self, your full self, like all of you coming
Mm-hmm.
out and showing yourself unapologetically, and someone noticing that and wanting to reciprocate the love that you have for yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It feels like there's been a journey of like I just keep hearing like holes in the creator field, and you filling in the holes.
Mm. Interesting. That feels, yeah, that feels like a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for those of you who are wondering like what's a creator field, it's kind of our electromagnetic field. It's what creates our reality, is our
Mm.
energy and the frequency. And so yeah, it feels like there's a breakthrough even just with this card and that portal, the hand breaking through. Ooh, amazing. It just feels like there's the word completion is coming
Mm.
through as well, especially
Mm.
with the Wheel of Fortune,
Mm.
completing some cycles. And it felt like you had to be on the defense in the past in relationship, and you had to
Mm.
defend yourself, or you had to defend like it felt like a little bit of a battle. I'm also picking up on Five of Wands energy, which is a little bit of like this internal battle. And so the Seven of Wands coming through of like, yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. Like we're kind of past that point. And yeah, the Hermit is showing, like with the Hermit at the back of the deck. I also
Hmm.
like to look too. This is a fun way to do it with the Hermit here, and then at the top of the deck. Let's see what this is. The Eight of Swords. Interesting. Okay, so
Mm.
that's confirmation. So you can see that the Eight of Swords, someone is kind of tied up.
Hmm.
So this is the card of limitations. It's the
Mm.
card of mental limitations, of mental constraint, of feeling like I'm limited and having that belief or that thought that's it's hard to break through. But what's beautiful about this card, it is a self-imposed limitation. And so with the Hermit, ooh, the whole
Hmm.
journey from the back to the top of the deck, this is your self-realization of
Mm.
wow, 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 I have been putting certain constraints on myself that maybe we were talking about reflections were reflected in these relationships that now it's just all illuminated. On the Hermit
Mm.
card, you can see there's like this illumination of whatever this is, this ball
Yeah.
and this.
Looks like a portal of little universe portal. He's dropping some magic into.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely been a breakthrough when it comes to your mind. So congratulations. That's really difficult as a human. I mean, and we always go through different phases and things like this, but in regards to maybe holding yourself back from certain projects when it comes to career and things like that, when it comes to relationship, you are the common denominator here with all of
Mm.
these relationships when it comes to your career, when it comes to relationships. And so
Right.
that relationship with yourself has drastically changed, and I'm picking up over the last 3 years for some reason. I
Hmm.
don't know if there was
Hmm.
something significant that happened in those
Hmm.
3 years. Okay, and this card just fell. So sometimes when that happens, that's a call to ground in something. So let's see what that
Hmm.
is. Ooh, Queen of Swords.
Hmm.
This is your boundaries,
Hmm. Cool.
grounding in those boundaries.
Cool. That's a cool card too.
It is a cool card. I know. I love this deck. It's really fun to see them for the first time with you. I'm also noticing the blue sword. So
Hmm.
Archangel Michael's coming through as well as a
Mm.
guide. And that could be coming through to just emphasize that you have that guidance around you when you're feeling like, oh, should I make the bound? Should I have this boundary set here, or am I being too soft, or am I being too hard? And to really just, as you do, channel your guides and these angels in order for you to feel more at ease when you are setting boundaries. Because sometimes I mean, as nice people, sometimes it's a difficult thing to do.
Definitely for me. I mean, it's always been actually that's funny because speaking of me and my ex partner, that was one of the things that she would often like. Oh, you're too lenient or too you know too forgiving, too where she could be a little more harsh sometimes. You know,
Okay, interesting. And so that is very significant for sure as far as setting your boundaries actually opens a door, right? It's not a
right,
wall, as we
right,
know, but like setting those boundaries in a way is like it's so respectful.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so this is good. This is a reiteration of what you already know there,
yeah, yeah.
and how important that is. But I love this that the Sun and the Ace of Cups came out. Like this is really, really beautiful energy. Oh, and then there's the Ace of Swords. So there's the truth, and that's cutting the BS. No more
Mm-hmm.
BS.
Yeah.
So let's see if there's anything else as far as what you can expect.
Okay.
Um, I don't want to go too long for you or expose you too much.
Not hurting my feelings.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. So we have, wow, cool. Six of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very transitional energy
Mm.
and it's moving forward in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the back of the deck, we have the Four of Wands. This is a very, very happy card. This is the 1111 card. This is divine union.
Mm.
This is celebration. This could be marriage. So, yay, Brandon. You have a lot. It feels like as you um, release what has happened, and it's so easy to say, but as you really move forward and move on and release the need for anyone or like
For
to
sure.
be loved by anyone else and like really harness that within yourself,
It's everything.
um, the Four of Wands, that's when the divine union comes in. So the divine union with yourself, that's going to amplify the divine union on the outside of you. So it feels like this is what you can expect here, is really beautiful divine union that's coming through. And then we have Temperance, and then the Empress, the King of Swords. Okay, all right. So yeah, really, really cool synchronicities here, with the King of Swords being the counterpart to the Queen of Swords.
Yeah.
So that's interesting how the Queen came out first. Like you mentioned, your
Mm-hmm.
ex, her
Mm-hmm.
energy, and now this is an feels like this could be an energetic match. I'm not sure what your relationship with her is, but there's definitely been a shift in you and in her to maybe be more on the same frequency. And we have the Empress and Temperance. So, whoa,
Cool.
Temperance is very much angelic. The
Mm-hmm.
Empress, as you can see, this is very feminine, and there's
Oh,
children involved
is
here.
she pregnant? It looks like she's pregnant. The
She's
Empress.
pregnant.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
that's what's going to happen.
Interesting. Interesting. Interesting.
Wow. And so Temperance also, this has the number 114 on it. I just noticed up here.
Hmm.
So I don't know, that could be significant, that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's very much a balancing out, reconnecting with your masculine, your feminine, again, as within, so without. And then also when it comes to your own Empress energy, this doesn't
Yeah.
just necessarily have to be your counterpart, but your own ability to receive love
Right. Right.
and to really, really receive that in a way that is not just, uh, again, like, I don't know, it just felt like there was some sort of imbalance that you were trying to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, okay, there's no proving. It just is. Like, love just is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's accurate. I definitely feel nothing left to prove in my life at this point, and I've definitely dealt with that to some degree. I think we all do to varying degrees, and I couldn't agree more. It's like there is no external love without internal love, and you know, it's like I always say that we're fractals of source consciousness, and so the ocean is in the drop if we're drops, of source,
Right.
and so whatever source is experiencing in its sort of journey in eternity is going to be reflected in our journey.
Mm-hmm.
And what is, at the end of the day, when all the chess pieces go back, they go back in the same box. So what is God, source, higher self, the universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it? What is its ultimate uh, thing that it's here to do, that it is doing? Learning to fall in love with self, because there are no others. So it's literally a journey of self-love, infinitely and eternally, for all of us. And so until we really get that down, you're kind of stuck. If you're not like in love with self, you certainly can't experience the pretend that there's another loving you back dance.
Yeah, and especially as someone who's very conscious and knowing these things, when it's not fully embodied, ooh, you
Yeah.
like we feel that hardcore,
Yeah.
and
For sure. For sure.
that's that karmic cycle that you really have done a great job of breaking free from, if
Mm.
I do say so myself.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And yeah, and even the moon at the beginning, that really resonates, because my last 6 months has been the sort of that relationship split was definitely um, a portal of transformation, and to a degree I've never experienced it in a breakup, where it just brought up all my own patterns over years and years and years in relationships my whole adult life, and then sort of some trauma around how that was navigated. It just like it affected me in a way that no breakup ever has, and but it would also set the stage for was, there's that, with the moon, it's the light and the dark. You've got the white wolf and the
Mm,
black wolf, and there's these like two paths. It's like, and I really had to, 10 years of Positive Head podcast, it's like, oh, it's the most depressed I felt, or
mm,
how do I overcome the dark path of thought, and I feel like I have done that. And it was sort of um, it's definitely like a boss at the end of a level in a certain to a certain degree for me. Like I could see the setup too, like, okay, this one's getting me more than anything has, and I can see the gift in it for me to
mhm.
sharpen my own axe and really like overcome. and choose the
Wow.
path of light.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because it is very vulnerable, and just a lot of what I'm noticing in the collective, since I do a lot of collective readings, is so many people are going through their own iteration of exactly what you just explained, of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
whoa, that hit me harder than anything else. That
Yep.
really pushed me to actually look at myself in the mirror like I have not looked before.
Right.
Deeper layers, onion peeling back, crying it out, like
Yep.
spending time alone, realizing like what is underneath all of that, and like where have I been living out of integrity, even 1%. And this is something I've learned the hard way, is when we choose this path, if there's even like 0.5% where we're just not willing to look at, that's going to be, it's going to become our life in a way, because
Yeah.
we're meant to be teachers and to be leaders. And when there's something that we're just not willing to look at, it will be very, very present. And sometimes it feels like this path is harder than a regular mortal, or I don't know,
Yeah.
people that are not aware. And that's the thing, is it is,
I think so. It's
we're
meant to
taking
be.
more responsibility.
The higher the branches, the deeper the roots. So
Yeah.
the brighter the light, the bigger the shadow it casts. So if you're really going for it in a lifetime, like, you're going to be, you know, um, yeah, I mean, you're going to be tested in a way that maybe someone who's on a life path that's a little more even keel won't be. And so, yeah, well, thank you for that. That was awesome. And I'm sure there are people out there who would love to connect with you, obviously, as we kind of wind down here and maybe get a reading themselves, or certainly get your collective readings. What's the best way for people to follow you and continue to, yeah, follow your work and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram is where I hang out the most. That's where I love to connect on stories. I do live. Sometimes I do live readings. And so I have a lot of opportunities. I really recommend you like stay up to date with my stories. That's where I do a lot of announcements and connect with you guys and share behind the scenes living here in Sedona in this vortex land of so much energy. It's really fun. People love to watch what I have going on, behind the scenes. And yeah, so Instagram is definitely where I would recommend connecting with me, and I have all the links in my bio there too.
And it's just your name, or
Yes,
yeah,
it's at Casi DeSarro.
yeah, got it. Cool. We can put a
Mm-hmm.
link in the notes as well.
Awesome.
Well, this has been amazing. I guess. Well, one thing I haven't asked you yet. I almost forgot. Story time. Any story of synchronicity, serendipity, positive paranormal story that you'd care to share?
Hmm. Okay. This was interesting. It just came through. So a connection that I have with Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
This happened when I was really just starting to tap into different, guides and things like that. And I felt this deep connection with Sirius, and I am very connected with them. I do a lot of work for them. So
Cool.
I was practicing, gosh, I think I was asking them to help me lucid dream and things like this. And I would write down every night like a note to the Syrian Council,
Mm-hmm.
and like ask them to give me some sort of sign,
Cool.
or just asking them for that. And so I would put it under my pillow, and I think after just 3, 4, 5 nights, I end up waking up in the middle of the night with a number, and it was, gosh, what was the number? 51515, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like something pretty significant, like particular, that I remembered when I woke up.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this is a, like, that's the only thing I remember is this number. Like, what is this
Mm-hmm.
number? And I never do this, and I don't recommend like Googling angel numbers, because it's more of like your relationship with it. But I was trying to figure out like what it meant. And then as I was going back to sleep, I'm like, oh my God, this is a date.
Mm.
So I go into my phone and I scroll to that date in my phone, like literally
Mm-hmm.
down to the day, the year
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the only pictures that I had on that date. One of them was my cat named Stella, which means star. She
Mm-hmm.
passed away, and she's like my guide now.
Oh.
She passed away when she was 4. So she's just like, I don't know, she is very present with me at all times. And then the other picture was me and my friend who have always seemed to be sisters in like another life.
Mm-hmm.
It was her and I, picture a selfie at work, and there was a caption, which is weird because it was a screenshot. I
Mm-hmm.
used to have Snapchat. It's been years since I've used it.
Yeah.
And the caption said serious work.
Amazing.
And
That's
I
so funny.
looked, that was the date that they gave
Yeah.
me.
Wow. That's so good.
So
I love it.
it
That's
confirmed that I was like, I'm doing a lot of work with
doing
this serious,
serious work.
doing serious
It's
work.
funny because I almost made a serious joke when you said it. Like I almost said, "Are you serious?" And then that's funny.
I'm so serious.
Um, and then I thought, yeah, I'll wait on the dad joke, and then you beat me to it. Um, well, Cassie, this has been such a delight. You are such a pleasure to connect with, and I know that the listeners will have enjoyed this as well, and we'll connect with you as well. And yeah, I do have one final question for you. It's my cliche closer, and it is this: in 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life according to Casi DeSarro?
The meaning of life on Earth, at least, is to reveal where we are not free,
Hmm.
and for us to come home to the truth of our essence
Hmm.
and to live it as fully as we possibly can.
Yeah. I
I think
love
that.
that. I love that. Well said. Well said. I don't
Thank
think
you.
I've heard an answer quite like that one. I'm always curious to see, and sometimes people's answers are more inspiring than others, and that was a really good one. So, thank you for showing up, Cassie, and thank all of you out there for tuning in your beautiful brainwaves and incredible hearts to another episode. Until next time, journey well.